Well, if you're a student in Nampa Public Schools, you now have fewer reading options at the school library. On Monday, the Nampa School Board voted to permanently remove 22 books that were challenged, meaning a parent or community member brought attention to a book, believing that the book and the content inside it is simply unacceptable for school children. Now, the concern in Nampa is that books in the library, the school library, they contain pornography. A 5-person board in Nampa voted 3-2 to remove 22 books in question. And the school district tells us that the books that were challenged were evaluated by committees made up of parents, staff members, and a librarian, specifically 2 parents, 2 staff, and a librarian. Now, Nampa Schools shared a full document with findings on a list of 24 books, and one of those books was on the list twice. The other book is already out of school, so that's how we got to 22. So what books are banned in Nampa? Well, some titles you may know: The Bluest by Toni Morrison, The Handmaid's Tale, Perks of Being a Wallflower, and Speak are among some of the lists here. And you can see there we have the duplicate crossed out, but a big list of 22 books that are now removed. So the big question here: why is this list of books removed? Well, it starts with the committee. They review books using a rubric that incorporated, in part, Common Sense Media as a criteria base. Now, Common Sense Media gives a score based on sexual content. They also score some other things inside the book, but the sexual content is kind of what we're looking at here. Now, let's go through some examples, some specific findings, and we'll go through 2 examples here specifically: Kite Runner and 13 Reasons Why. And let's start with Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. It was given a 5-star rating by Common Sense Media for its educational value, but a 1 out of 5 rating for sexual content because the author there described romantic love and caring adults' desire for affection. That's the quote there. The target audience is anyone older than 16 years old. So that's one of the books that got removed, and the explanation why. Let's talk about another one. 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher, which is now a popular show on Netflix. Common Sense Media gives this book a rating of 2 out of 5 for sexual content because of its sexual innuendo, including inappropriate touching. Specifically, there's a scene in the book where a boy grabs a girl's butt. So that is written as part of the explanation there. Now, the district gave parents the opportunity to express their concerns about the books and any other books. Now, during the board meeting, Hosseini, she told the board that she and other parents that they had specific concerns about the content in the book. Here's what she had to say at the meeting on Monday.
Let's just remember that exposing kids to pornographic material is a tactic used by groomers of child predators. That's a huge thing. And you're allowing this material to be in our schools. At the last meeting that you guys had, I was asked, where do you draw the line? To me, that is a very simple answer. If you don't want the behavior to happen at school, then there shouldn't be a book about it at school. If it were a movie and it wouldn't be allowed to be played at school, there shouldn't be a book with that at school. It doesn't belong in the book. Sex has no place in school unless it is sexual education class that, as the state law, and parents may opt out their children. Not to mention that the law states that the program should supplement the work of the home and the church in giving the youth scientific and physiological information for understanding sex and the relationship to the miracle of life, including knowledge and the power of sex drive and the necessity of controlling that drive with self-discipline. In the book, one of the books on the list, It's Perfectly Normal, it suggests that there's no self-discipline when it comes to sex. And all of these books together, none of them go into having self-discipline when it comes to sex or controlling that sex drive.
So those are the types of concerns that parents and community members expressed to the Nampa School Board. Now, later in that same meeting, a board member shared her concerns, specifically about the Bible.
It's unfortunate. And again, you know, I have to bring up the Bible because I hate to hear the Bible compared to those books, because America's was based on the Judeo-Christian, the Bible, and there's a lot of good. These books have no good. And it's just, I'm sorry, that's really hard for me to hear.
And that point's being made because members of the community have pointed out that books like the Bible, the Old Testament, do include very graphic scenes. Now, during that same meeting, the board voted to suspend the current process of challenging books, expressing concerns with the process itself. So far, no procedure has replaced it, but the board says they will be talking about what to do at a future board meeting. And just to be clear here, the Nampa School Board works independently from the district office and the superintendent. I reached out to Nampa Schools about how they are going to look at this new edict. And they issued a statement, and this is what they said to me, saying that this is the first time in their memory that they've ever had a book challenge, and that these banned books are not a part of any curriculum, and that parents have the ability to request that their children not be able to check out certain books. For now, they say the banned books are boxed up until they can decide what to do with them, and the Nampa School Board is expected to take that up again soon. So some uncharted territory in Nampa, and we still have a lot of questions. We reached out to each individual member of the Nampa School Board. None have responded as of 5:04 here on Wednesday. It's also unclear what future challenges could look like. So the list of 22 books is no longer available in Nampa, but that doesn't mean that the books are not available other places in the community. There's plenty of other places you can find those books. And one Treasure Valley bookstore, for example, put as many of the 22 banned books from Nampa that they had on display in their store in Boise and Caldwell. We checked in with Rediscovered Books in Boise to talk about their thoughts on books being taken out of libraries and why they're putting them front and center on a new display. Store manager and children's book specialist Rebecca Crosswhite explains more.
Brand new this morning, we got to come in and find all the books that were put out on the Nampa School District banning list and put them on display. We also put all of them that we didn't have in store right now on order, ordering in a couple extra copies just to have around, because we have a feeling people already have been calling and asking about them.
What value do you see in these books specifically?
These books specifically are just important. I mean, we have a story about drugs and how, teenage deal with that, because that's part of life. We have Speak. Speak is one of the most important books about women and speaking up and having a voice. It's perfectly normal. Is helping kids understand what's going on with their bodies. I mean, you have to talk about this stuff or else, they're going to have a hard time in life. Parents can make choices for their children, right? But they can't make choices for other parents' kids. And that's really what that's what's important about this, is you can't make that decision for others. You need to let them have that choice.
As an expert, and going through these books and knowing the sensitive subject matters inside them, I guess what thoughts were you having when you learned that they were being banned from school?
I was surprised. A lot of these books have been around for a really long time. They're not new titles. And when you're banning certain books, and we know that you're banning drama because there's a kiss between two boys in it, right? And we know that you're banning Prince and the Dressmaker because it has a romance in it. But you're telling those kids who need to see themselves in these books that that's not okay. And that's not okay to me, because they're just as important.
A community debate that is expected to go on very different sides. I did ask, though, the bookstore, I said, if there are more books that are banned in the future, will you add them to the display? They told me, yes, they would plan on doing that.